you've got the likes of Bloody Sunday. Not just a medal these people were given, it wasn't just something small, it was millions and millions and millions of pounds, which is still going on just now. It's soldiers getting their doors kicked in and getting dragged to the police station, arrested, it's getting dragged away from their families and different things like that. So yeah, forgive and forget, I am comfortable saying not a chance, not ever. It won't be happening at all. Forgiving and forgetting is, it's not exactly that, you're forgetting everything, and it's rewriting history. By forgiving and forgetting what these people have done, we're actually aiding them and allowing them to rewrite their history, because they're not proud of their history, many of them, or many of them are proud about it, but they don't like it getting brought up in conversations, you know. So we'll go back to the music with the song Soldier in the Station. Lest we forget, we will remember them, every single one of them. Every single date, every year, we do remember the fallen people from our community, as well as our fallen servicemen. So yeah, lest we forget.
In a station in the city, a British soldier stood, talking to the people there if the people would. Some just stared in hatred and others turned in pain, and the lonely British soldier wished he was back home again. Come join the British Army, said the posters in his town. See the world and have your fun, come serve before the crown. The jobs were hard to come by and he could not face the dole, so he took his country shilling and enlisted on the roll. But there was no fear of fighting, the empire long was lost. Just 10 years in the army, getting paid for being bossed. Then leave a man experienced, a man who's made the grade, a medal and a pension, some memories and a trade. Then came the call to Ireland as the call had come before. Another bloody chapter in an endless civil war. The priests, they stood on both sides, the priests, they stood behind. Another fight in Jesus' name, the blind against the blind. The soldiers stood between them, between the whistling stones, and then the broken bottles that led to broken bones. The petrol bombs that burned his hands, the nails that pierced his skin, and wished that he had stayed at home, surrounded by his kin. The station filled with people, the soldier soon was bored, but better in the station than where the people warred. The room filled up with mothers, with daughters and with sons, who stared with itchy fingers at the soldier and his guns. A yell of fear, a screech of brakes, a shattering of glass. The window of the station broke to let the package pass. A scream came from the mothers as they ran towards the door, dragging children crying from the bomb upon the floor. The soldier stood and could not move, his gun he could not use. He knew the bomb had seconds and not minutes on the fuse. He could not run to pick it up and throw it in the street. There were far too many people there, too many running feet. Take cover, yelled the soldier, take cover for your lives. And the Irishmen threw down their young and stood before their wives. They turned towards the soldier, their eyes alive with fear. For God's sake, save our children, or they'll end their short lives here. The soldier moved towards the bomb, his stomach like a stone.
Hi, Chris.
Why was this his battle, God? Why was he alone? He lay down on the package and he murmured one farewell to those at home in
There's a man engine noise.
to those he loved so well.
It sounds fine, eh?
Of summer felt the wind upon his brow. The young girls in the city parks, how precious were they now?
Listen, I don't need much. I don't need much. It's just going on for. It's just 20 minutes past 9 now. So probably about 5-10 minutes. I'm not going on a mad rant, mate. I just been sitting there listening away, and now I'm going to put my slant on it. Remember to play devil's advocate, 'cause I like that.
The crowd outside soon gathered and the ambulances came to carry off the body of a pawn lost to the game. And the crowd, they clapped and jeered and they sang their rebel songs. One soldier less to interfere where he did not belong. And will the children growing up learn at their mother's knee the story of the soldier who fought their liberty, who used his youthful body as the means towards the end, who gave his life to those who called him murderer, not friend.
Hi folks, apologies about that. I know you can already hear the caller Paul. I've only just realised it's a bit of a technical fault. Paul, thanks for calling in a Pure Community Radio. The folks could already hear you in the background there.
Hopefully my language wasn't too colourful.
I dare say it would have been.
Well, we'll try. I take it now it's after the watershed, we can maybe let loose slightly.
Slightly.
I will try to contain myself.
Well, I take it you're obviously phoning up in regards to forgiveness.
Yes. That is the topic of the night. Just a wee brief interlude. I was born into a family that was torn apart by the IRA concerning the murder of the 3 boys on the 10th of March 1971. I, of course, was not born at the time. However, bitter, bigoted, sectarian, these are all things that have been branded at me. I'm not uneducated, I'm not an idiot. I'm very good at very many things, and I dare say I could have probably made my millions long ago if I would have applied myself properly. However, there has always been a burning issue with me, and the burning issue has always been republicanism. The simple fact is that I may be many miles away from Belfast, but it's here. It's here in my community, here in Glasgow, and I suffer on a daily basis because of it, because every day I hear about these Republican parades and the glorification of terrorism, this Easter Rising nonsense, and it's never ending. The salt rubbed into the wounds, well, myself personally and my family, I can only speak on behalf of, but I'm fairly certain that most of the victims' families of Irish terrorism would feel exactly how I do. Forgiveness, I've tried looking for it. I've been to church, I've spoke to ministers and different things like that. It would be really nice just to move on. It's like an ideology. Let's just move on and forgive. How can you forgive when you can't forget? When they won't let you forget? How do you do that? It's impossible. I know my cousin David was on, and he tends to be a wee bit more diplomatic than myself. Personally, I'd be willing to go so far as to say there will never be forgiveness for these people, never, because they are evil men, and to forgive them, as a man, I don't have the right. Forgiveness comes from God himself, not from man. So they can go to their chapels and they can get told, go and say your Hail Marys and you'll be forgiven and go to heaven. It doesn't work like that. It never has and never will. For somebody like myself, I'm left bitter. I'm left bitter because the bitter taste in my mouth has been left by the British government. They failed us. They refused to defend us. They refused to. We get no justice. We get nothing. Absolutely nothing. I've heard the callers coming on for Northern Ireland. I can feel their pain. Our kit and kin in Northern Ireland are still under attack. Look at Clown Place. For instance, there's many other ones. Where does it stop? Where do we get peace?
Mm-hmm.
It's to my mind, I can never see it happening. We now have an SNP government who are hell bent. You see Kenny McCaskill. Do you see what he's come out and said? he's trying to say that we're just all twisted bigots who are hell bent on causing trouble. That Ireland, the formation of Ireland, should be celebrated, and Scottish people should celebrate it, not just because it's our neighbours, but because people from Scotland were involved in it. Well, I would push the boundaries to say that your James Connolly's were nothing but dirty traitors to their own people. How many Scottish soldiers died in that rebellion? Failed rebellion, I might add. How many? And then I have to suffer the likes of your Franny McAdams. That's not a man. That isn't a man. That's another coward who, to me and to my mind, these people are nothing. They try to celebrate the glorification of terrorism and the murder of innocent civilians. Now, we talk about babies being murdered. What's worse? I know you've got kids yourself, Chris. You tell me what's worse. Is it worse that you lose a child, or that all of your children lose their mother? What's worse? Yes, and now you're thinking that way. Maybe now you can see how the victims. Now maybe you can see how the victims. My cousin did say it. Dougal's mother. She suffered and mourned for 30 years before she died. Thankfully now she's now thankfully at peace, and I know that she'll be up there with Dougal, and she'll be looking down on me, and she'll be saying, "You're no wasting your life." I fight against these people because I have nothing else to do. Not because I couldn't be something else or do something else. I could turn my hand to anything, but I can't. I cannot move on while this nonsense continues. When are we going to get a government with the strength of Mrs. Thatcher to say, if these people want to live like animals, let them do it?
I mean, Margaret Thatcher was, there's that famous quote, people's made pictures about it, it's about if Mr. Sands wants to act like an animal, then he can live like one.
Yes.
Yeah, she was a strong woman, but it's like we said in an earlier phone call, the government is absolutely terrified of Irish Republicans and what they may do next, whereas they hold our community in complete contempt at every turn.
Yes.
So, but we all know the biggest problem faced in our community is the individuals within the community itself, because we should be out there campaigning more.
You're absolutely right, Chris.
For what we want, but we're not. There's not enough people with the appetite for it away from the computer screens and away from their own agenda. The one thing that the Republicans do is that they campaign very well, regardless if it's a warped agenda, and they're absolutely vile. They absolutely know how to play the British system.
Well, what you've just said there, Chris, brings me back to one of the best quotes. I mean, I'm not quite sure where it came from. I came across it one day and I thought, that just sums our community up. And it is, we cannot be beaten when it comes to fighting in the trenches. But the Republicans, they are class when it comes to fighting on the benches. I think that our community have a slight bravado syndrome, as in the respect to we're the biggest and the hardest and we can't be beat, so we'll do that. I think we have to remember that we're the victims here. It's difficult for myself because, to be honest, an IRA man, I would rather see him choking on his own blood. Any Republican, I would see him in that state at the side of the road, and I would personally leave him like that. And I've said this before on this show, I'd be quite happy to go and do a sentence, a bare life sentence, just to put one of them away. But that sort of bravado and machoism doesn't work. The simple fact is, we're the victims here.
Absolutely.
I cannot get on with my own life because, the hang-ups that we have, I spend the majority of my time concentrating on Republicans, Republican parades, how